Hi everybody. In this video we will learn about metals and nonmetals. As you look at the periodic table is divided into mainly two groups. You see a diagonal staircase here, this line that divides the periodic table into different sections. So we have a stair line, it's like stairs, and everything below this line are the metals, and everything above the line are the nonmetals. It's pretty simple and easy, and the periodic table that you have with you in your hand has that stair line, and even it says it is metals on this side and it's nonmetals on this side. So when you're taking this test, you actually have this periodic table in your hand that tells you that everything on the left of the line or below the line is metals, above the line is nonmetals. But keep in mind that hydrogen is a nonmetal. Okay, although it is sitting on this side, but hydrogen is a nonmetal. The reason hydrogen is here because the periodic table is arranged by the atomic number, and hydrogen has atomic number 1, so hydrogen had to be the very first element. But except hydrogen, everything below the line is metals. Now, so this is metals and nonmetals I mentioned, and the elements that are by the line, like silicon, osmium, germanium, antimony, tellurium, astatine. These are called metalloids. Metalloids or semi-metals means they have the properties of both metals and nonmetals. So metalloids have the properties of both metals and nonmetals. So some of their behavior is like metals and some of their behavior is like nonmetals. Or you can say they act like both metals and nonmetals. So this is the main part, classification of the periodic table you need to know. Then we know these series, lanthanides and actinide series, and we also need to know the diatomic elements. We have talked about this before. That let me clear this all up first. That all the elements that are sitting right here, they have this natural ability of always staying in the groups of two. They always make pairs, and these are these 7 elements on the periodic table. It makes a perfect 7 on the periodic table, and hydrogen is also one of them. Okay, so hydrogen and these 7 elements. So maybe I want to highlight it, that these are the 7 elements that make a perfect 7 on the periodic table. They are always in the form of 2. So hydrogen is going to be 2, nitrogen is going to be 2, oxygen, chlorine, bromine, and iodine. So you need to memorize that these 7 elements are called 7 diatomic elements, and hydrogen is also one of them. And then everything below the line is metals, everything above the line is nonmetals, and elements that are by the line are metalloids, and they have the properties of both metals and nonmetals. So let's talk about the properties of metals first. Metals are very soft, just keep that in mind, and very reactive. Not all, but I'm talking about some early metals like group 1 and group 2. So metals are soft, they are shiny. Ductile means you can turn them into wires, like copper wires. You have seen copper wires? So that means they're ductile. They're good conductors of heat and electricity. They're solid at room temperature. They have a high melting and boiling point. That means they have strong intermolecular forces. Okay, anything that has high melting and boiling point have stronger intermolecular forces, and they're malleable. Malleable means you can turn them into sheets, okay, like aluminum sheets, aluminum foil. So you have to memorize the properties of metals. Metals are very soft, okay, they are shiny, they're ductile, malleable, high melting boiling points, they're solid at room temperature, they're very good conductors of heat and electricity. Properties of nonmetals. Nonmetals, hold on 1 second. Properties of nonmetals. So let's talk about nonmetals. They're brittle, they're not shiny. Okay, not ductile. So you can break them, but they will not be turned into wires. So if you try to do something with it, it will simply break. So they're brittle, they're not ductile, they're poor conductors. Metals are good conductors. Non-metals are poor conductors. Metals were solid, non-metals are gases. Metals have high melting boiling point. Non-metals have low melting boiling point. That means they have weak intermolecular forces. They are not malleable. and they have 7 diatomic elements. So all the 7 diatomic elements are nonmetals. So the properties of nonmetals are exactly opposite to the properties of metals. Let's talk about the properties of metalloids, semi-metals, the ones in between. They're shiny, but they're also brittle. So they share the properties of, like this was the non-metal property, right? This was the metal property. They're not ductile. So this is a non-metal property. They conduct some heat, so they are weak conductors of heat and electricity. So this is in between the metals and non-metals. They are solid at room temperature, so this is a metallic property. High melting boiling point, this is a metallic property. Not malleable, that's a non-metallic property. So they share the properties of both metals and non-metals. So you have to memorize the properties of metals, semi-metals, and non-metals. There will be a lot of questions on the test on the properties of metals, non-metals, and semi-metals. So that's all. That completes your unit, and I'll talk to you in class. Thank you. Bye-bye.